Hello, it's Thursday, it's 1 o'clock. I'm really hoping everything's going out live. If you're seeing this and hearing it okay, please let me know and where you are. I think it shows up on my chat aggregator thing, whether you're coming in from Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or YouTube, all of those four places. This lecture for universities, colleges and higher education on social media measurement, analytics and insights is being broadcast as a live lecture. It's not so much a tutorial. However, if you were to ask me a question in the chat, just make sure I can see the chat, I will do my level best to answer it. If not in the middle of the lecture, then definitely by the end. So let me know. Do you like my photo? That's from Gary Hayes. He's the photographer. And I'm just letting the algorithm do its thing. There's something called Deepface. Deepface is Facebook and Instagram. Google's is DeepMind, which analyzes videos and looks at the backdrop of the videos and then determines if the content and the imagery is relevant to an audience. So if you haven't figured it out by now and you're watching this from overseas, my name is Laurel Papworth. I'm in the Blue Mountains outside of Sydney, Australia. And I will be talking primarily either about Ivy League red brick unis because they're big enough and ugly enough to look after themselves, or smaller Australian-based universities. And we'll be looking specifically at my favourite topic, absolute favourite, which is analytics and numbers. If you can't measure it, there's no point in doing it because you have no idea what the impact is. So measure, measure, measure. All right. I guess I should put the screen up. It sounds like a good idea. Where are we starting? I've got all my notes here. I've prepped everything. I've taught this lecture maybe 50,000 times before, but not for over a year. So this is my way of practicing before we go back into classrooms, which I think is in April. So I'll go into the bottom left. One of the questions, let's make this a bit bigger. I'm not running it at 720 today. I'm running it at a higher res and I want to make sure you can see it okay. If you're on your phone, I can't help you. It's just the way it is. But if you're on a desktop, you should be able to see this clearly. Things are changing. What we can see, what we can't see, the stuff that's been removed. So if you were in my lecture last year, or actually any of my uni lectures from the last 15 years, almost all of the stuff we used to be able to see is gone now. So I'll show you some of the changes in that area. Let's start off with, do we want to start off with Google? No, I think we'll start off with social media. So Facebook page insights, there's a few things here that I think are critical to look at. And I want to start with the really basics. So the first one is, how many followers or subscribers does a page have? This is the potential volume of the channel. It's only the potential, and it's the initial step. So for this page, which is my little training teachery page that I stream on, I think what am I running at? 2,200 subscribers currently. And so in the last week, I've reached 162 people, about 16% of the audience. This is not best practice by any means. The business pages that I actually manage, not the ones I chuck training bits and bobs up on, have 100 to 120% engagement. Sometimes it drops lower to 70 or 80, and then I start to panic. But we're looking at about 16%, or increase in engagement, I'm sorry. And then 43 post engagements, 34%. So the difference between a subscriber and an engaged subscriber is how many people have said they want the news, and then how many of them actually get it in their feed. Because classically, and I don't want to go through this, it's earlier in the series, but the platforms choose the core audience, they choose the psychographic, and then they decide it has to be the right content to the right audience at the right time, and then they remove content that's not relevant. So if you were to write a post that was targeting overseas students, and then another post that was targeting employer branding for a new head of department or something, these audiences are very different. And so your student acquisition is one audience and your employer branding audience is a different one. And the algorithm won't allow you to put those two posts side by side and allow both posts to go to both audiences. It will start to remove an audience that it considers to be a non-core audience, that's their term, from the feed. So you may have 200,000 people on the page, but they won't necessarily be seeing the stuff. And I found an example for you. One of the interesting things for me with doing these live is that I always have to go and find a current example, because my old examples don't always work. So if we come down here and we look at Harvard University, and because you're watching this on your phone, you can't see, but it says 6.2 million subscribers. And the University of New South Wales has 530,000 subscribers, so 500,000. However, Harvard University had 30,000 engagements, and the University of New South Wales had 36,000 engagements. Some of this has to do with the amount of posting. Harvard only did 6 posts, UNSW did 13 posts, but there is a substantial difference between 500,000 subscribers and 6 million. And yet, UNSW rocked it. Yes. I would say my old stomping ground, but I've taught at most of the universities in Australia and Singapore, actually. So yes, one of them that I've worked at and taught at. Not Harvard, UNSW. So at 36,000 versus 30,000, these are the numbers that are important to me. So when I'm working with the university, not necessarily not teaching, but actually advising them on social media, I don't care if they say to me, oh, we've got 1 million subscribers or 6 million subscribers or whatever. I'm like, what is your engagement? How many engaged people do you have? And that's just this week, all right? So you want to, as part of an analytics report, put this together. You want to put in your competitors under frenemies, joint venture partners, peers, I don't care what you call them. Click in, add all the pages in, and then you want to check their engagement against their subscribers. Think of it as like an email newsletter where you've got 6 million people have signed up for the email newsletter, but it's going into the junk mail for the majority of them. So only 30,000 of them are actually opening the email, and there's a CDA, a call to action, that's measurable around that. I think you know what I'm talking about. So when I click on Harvard University, another analytic that I'm looking for is, or part of the analysis, we should call it analysis, not just measurement analytics, because numbers mean nothing if you can't interpret them. So even if you're doing a TLDR, too long didn't read, or executive summary report, they're going to be looking for the boom, for the we had an increase in this number of subscribers or this number of engagements, but it's because we did XYZ this week. So for Harvard, they're reporting on something from their social media newsroom about COVID's impact on the long-term impact on the emotional landscape. And then they did some sort of Throwback Thursday looking at 1 year ago, and it's around COVID as well. When I look at UNSW and I want to know why are they with 1/12 of the number of subscribers but double the number of posts getting more engagement, I click on UNSW And it's an emotional, it's an emotical, an emotional article. It's about Mardi Gras. It goes directly to values, heartfelt. Let me make that a bit bigger. So it's something that would get a lot of responses. If you've split up your content calendar, and we talked about content calendars in the last lecture series for higher ed, which was last Thursday. But you want to look at story time. You want to look at that's like Jill came to the school and she was a single mum and now she's a professor or whatever. Like, it's those kind of stories. I think there was one on interior design that we looked at about a teacher who came through the college and is now teaching that course. So that's a personal story. It's got a narrative arc. So that's story time. In your content calendar, let me come back to me. You don't need to see that. In your content calendar, you want edu-social, which is the how-tos, the solving of problems, keeping the calls down to the help center. I can't fill in this form. I'm not sure what this section means. You could do a video walkthrough of that, put it up online, and then tell people, if you know someone who's struggling to fill in the application form, why don't you pass them this video? And that allows mums and best friends and study groups to share those videos. So edu-social is the how-tos. It's not a story time. It's more lecture style, I guess. Yes, I know, we're lecturers. We move between all the different things. We do strategy, we do tactical how-tos, we do story times and case studies. We do all of that. But with posts, because you're looking at nanobytes, you're probably going to split your content diary up. And I would be measuring that. I would be measuring what works. The how-tos versus story times, feel-good stories. I can tell you now, emoticals always work. And then another one. 6 UNSW subjects have been ranked to the top 20 in the world. Yay, UNSW! From engineering to law and environmental sciences. So that's good. The alumni would be pleased with that one as well. So you can always drag the alumni in with those. So we're looking at the top posts for all the different universities. I could have put the University of Sydney up and Griffith and TAFE colleges and all kinds, and just to see follower versus engagement numbers, number of posts, and then as a qualitative check just to see what was going off. Always make sure that one of these isn't a crisis comms or trolling, because it's all very well to get 12 million engagements, but if they're all saying I will never have anything to do with your university ever again, you might want to rethink the woohoo, go us kind of statement in your executive summaries of your analytics reports. What am I doing next? Oh, yeah. See how out of practice I am? I'm normally... Not anymore. All right, I'm practicing on you. Thank you for being part of this. Gary Friedman, she's back. Yay! I didn't go anywhere. I'm still doing Mondays at 10:45 and Thursdays at 1 p.m. But I guess you've missed me since Monday. So there you go. Other analytics within Facebook, and groups have analytics now. I think my last series of lectures, I talked about some tools for Facebook groups, and you really want to manage your strategy so that your groups have a specific core audience and your pages have a more not distributed audience, but your groups are warm to hot leads, stakeholders, and you're cold on your pages. It's hard to get people to join a group if they've never heard of you and don't know what you're about. What else am I looking at here? Oh, I want to show you a few other things. Oh, first of all, this one is critical. I need to drop this down just a little bit. This export data in the page insights overview. And again, this isn't like a how-to mentoring series. This is me giving you the key pointers to get to. Go look this up if you're not sure how all this works. Like, I don't want to have to explain what a CSV is at this point of the lecture. I can't. We just have an hour. That's it. But we have page data, post data, and then they separate out video posts from other types of posts. Why is this important? First of all, the data vanishes. You can only export up to 500 posts at a time, and sometimes you'll try and go back to the last O week, the last exam week, the last student acquisition kind of run week, and it will say data not available, and you will cry. Maybe it's just me, but anyway, it is so frustrating. So download your spreadsheets at least monthly. I would recommend weekly. For me as a social media manager, for me and my staff, it's been extremely difficult to have to sit in a meeting and say, we don't have any data from the last time we ran this kind of an initiative because it's no longer available. So download the spreadsheets on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn and everything. And you'll see there's like lots and lots and lots more columns than this kind of super high level insights gives you. Page data, if you're thinking of your Facebook page, your Instagram account, your LinkedIn page as a magazine, i.e. lots and lots of articles and a few promotions, then the page is the whole magazine. How many subscribers do you have on the magazine? When I click on post data, this is the response to each article in the magazine, so every post. And then depending on your story type, if you're working with academic researchers, they're text story types, so your video data's not going to be there because you're not delivering videos to text story types because they don't play them and the algorithm will remove them. But if you are working with visual story types, then I would recommend that you also download the video data. You can, for some of these, muck around with edit what you want. So you can go through and choose the different sections you want in your report. I just do everything. I can sort through it later. I'd rather have the data now than, like I said, go back 3 months later and find out it's not there. So yes, and you can do this on Twitter as well. Where is it on Twitter? It's in the... Is it on the main? Oh, it's on the tweets page, I think. Quick look. Export data by tweet and by day. Just let me get me out of the way. By tweet, by day. I know you can't see that, but it's there, and you can do that on Twitter, and so on and so forth. So every platform lets you download, if you're interested in analytics, measurement, and you want to dig deeper, definitely download the spreadsheets. You can model stuff like, what's one that I like? Oh, how many people engaged with a post that like the page and don't like the page? Because often what you'll see is that somebody who liked the page and is a subscriber, I'm waving my arms around here and you can't see me, but somebody who liked the page and is a subscriber shared that content, and then all these people engaged with it, but they don't like the page. So it's always interesting for me to see that FOAF, friend of a friend, kind of data set in play. And sometimes those numbers are really interesting, which brings me to that section. We're going to stick with Facebook for a little while and then we'll go on to some of the others. I want to show you the pixel retargeting and also LinkedIn tracking as well as Twitter. Posts. Such a popular question, and it's always a good idea if I actually show it on the screen. When your fans are online, so if you go into the page insights and then you click posts, when your fans are online, now you can go through for different times. They're on Pacific time zone. Mine are on Pacific time zone. I can't remember now what yours are. I have Silicon Valley clients and Los Angeles entertainment clients and a few others. So we just stuck with Facebook's hometown just to make it easier. And then what you'll notice is depending on what settings you've put in your account, every so often say, this is only in Pacific time, or this is only in your local time, or this is only in your visitor, your member, your user, the person who's liked your page, it's only in their time. The whole thing. I'm hopeless at time zones. Don't ask me. All right, so Pacific time, if I move between Sunday and Thursday, Friday doesn't change much. You may notice with uni students that they're out late, up late on weekends. Depends on their course. Medical students versus art students, I don't know. Don't forget that if I let me just go to Facebook. I'll just hide all the usual suspects because I have no idea what my friends are up to. I'll show you this to you in 1 second. Yeah. So, first and foremost, Facebook themselves are trying to hijack universities' initiatives with building communities online. Google's already done this extensively. They analyse, they gave free Google Edu, like Google Docs and Google Drive and Google Gmail and stuff to high schools. And then they now do predictive analysis on high school students on what they think they're going to study in the future. And that simply has to do with the fact when you've been around for a long time and you know that students 10 years ago, what they were doing on email and in their documents and in their courses at high school and where they are today, you can then do a behavioural analysis from that. See why I love statistics? Are they dark? Yeah. Or they can be. But I can see why Facebook wants to hijack them. So where are we at? Just checking here. Okay, good. So when I search for Harvard University, you're going to see a lot of different things for Harvard Uni, and they actually will have higher engagement for some of their more targeted niche areas. So the Harvard Business School has around the same number of likes or followers or subscribers on the page that the UNSW page does, but because it's hyper targeted, it will just do better in the algorithm. We already know that. So in posts, we can check when your fans are online. And another one is top posts from pages you watch. Just move that down here just a little bit. There we go. And this will bring in, if you've put all the universities in here, all the lectures, all the departments, the library, the uni bar, uni events, any specific pages, and you've got a whole stream of them in here, you'll be able to see which of the pages has high engagement, and then you'll be able to share the most popular posts, which will give you an swell. What am I trying to say? You know what I'm trying to say. It will give you a boost in the algorithm if you check the top posts and pages you watch. This fits into the last active 50 data set that we've discussed before. It's also part of the meme trending algorithm. So you're pulling in something that's trending on similar pages. It's not the pages are similar, it's the audience is similar. Obviously, don't share something if it's not relevant to the audience. So top posts from pages you watch. And then the post types is something else that I keep an eye on the pages. I've recently changed my page from being a text story type. The story type is the person who views the page. So academic researchers, journalists, editors, publishing people, engineers, tech, geek, computer science tend to be text story types. They don't like infographics. It all looks a little bit too colourful in primary school for them. If we switch to visual story types, So that's video and images. And this is what the director of the newsfeed algorithm calls the different groups of people, the different type. He calls a video story type, an image story type, and a text story type. So it's clearly part of the algorithm. And so we can see what the reach is, and we can see, because the page takes, it's an MAU, a monthly active user page, almost all of them are. But the shift has been from delivering text to people to being video. So people who primarily like to read are dropping out of my newsfeed, and people who primarily like to watch live streams and videos and this kind of thing are now will find the video in their feed. If you don't like videos, you don't like images, you'd rather read an article than watch a video, you've never willingly clicked on a video in your entire life, you're not seeing this. It's just not happening. And that's why I would need to change things up. So that's, I had down here story types, when online, personas, competitors. All right. There was one more thing I wanted to talk about on here. Marketing intelligence, particularly around psychographics. So we can see your fans, predominantly women, 35 to 54. And they're the people that have subscribed to the page. If I go to my people reached, it's a little bit more heavy on the men. And then people engaged, this often happens for me, on really, really busy pages, these are all filled out. But this is just one that I think I actually have on this page, go away, this is just for me to teach people. And then every so often I post things up like blah, blah, blah. And people are asking me, why did you write blah, blah, blah? I'm teaching. So at least I get engagement. What you do want to keep an eye on as well for, first of all, you want to see if the people that are engaging are similar to the people who follow you, who are similar to the people that you reach. So that we have a number of pages where it's young men like the page, retired women engage. In fact, they write long comments. And then the people reached are more middle-aged, young men, older women, middle-aged women. It's kind of an interesting shift on how the algorithm is adapting. I do need to check and see where the audiences are coming in from. So on my Facebook page, it's predominantly Australia. One of the reasons, again, why I have Sydney in the background is to reach Australians. And then I see on YouTube, it's predominantly from the USA. So, you know, it's... Hi, Gold Coast. Who's on the Gold Coast? Melbourne, 178 people. One of those is Gary Friedman, who's leaving me comments. Got people from the United States, United Kingdom, and languages here. If you have an overseas acquisition campaign, you need to think about whether you want to muddy the water, i.e. don't, of your main page, or if you want to initiate a specialist page in a specialist language and then really get some cut through. More than likely you're using Daewoo and WeChat and Weibo and all those kind of services anyway, but I just want to highlight that. A couple more things on Facebook. Let me see where... Oh, my analytics. I like to see, for instance, how many people are liking the page from the website. And also people who unlike the page. So on the 9th of March, 2 people unliked the page. more than likely it's because a video showed up in their feed and my page was predominantly text before. They don't like, and Facebook tried it on them. They didn't like it. They unliked it. I'm fine with that. No, I am. And then down here, where the likes on your page happened, did they happen from within the Facebook page, from a search? I had a restored like from a reactivated account. And this fills up depending, I've seen 15 things on here. One of them is from the website, that people liked the article on your website and then it went through to Facebook. So those sort of things are interesting. They're also in those downloadable spreadsheets, so that's always useful to look at. Not looking at ads today. I think analytics for ads, we need to do the ad program part of the lecture series first, and then we can look at the ads. Reach and impressions. So reach are the people who saw the article in their news feed, saw your post in their news feed, saw your video, saw your media asset, social media asset in their news feed. It doesn't mean they stopped and paused, clicked on it, played it, expanded it, commented, shared it, anything, commented, nothing. It simply means it showed up in the news feed. It's like a newspaper and you're flicking through the magazine or newspaper. It doesn't matter whether you stopped and looked at that article or not. So reach is kind of like it just showed up in the news feed. And it means that there's some brand awareness, some brand education. The university branding is getting through, but they weren't ready to act on it. Will it show up a second time if they didn't? Maybe, maybe not. The less they act on it, even if they've subscribed, the more likely it is to end up in the junk mail folder. So if I go through post reach, they just saw the post, and then I want to put that against engagement. So if 300 people saw the post, how many people were engaging with it? Impressions is they may have seen it more than once. So it's one reach, could be 5 impressions because they bookmarked it and went back and looked at it and reviewed it and replayed my rather long 1-hour videos. What you should notice is that the higher the number of comments, the higher the reach is, because the algorithm is paying attention that people are engaging and then distributing that out. So when there's only 1 or 2 comments, it will not reach as many people as if there was 17 comments. So always, I guess what I'm saying is when you're writing all of these up and you're saying, hey, we did 15 posts and these posts got this number of comments, map it to reach, because you should notice the connection between the two. Somebody hit the post, and then we can see the total reach. Is there anything else I want to show you in here? I don't think so. Normally I rattle through all these, but a few things have changed recently. And as all of this gets pulled into Creator Studio, I think we're going to see it all completely rearranged. So if you're watching this in the future, hi, how's COVID? And you will need to find these bits and bobs in Creator Studio, or see, ad results have moved. They're gradually moving everything under Business Suite and Creator Studio. Oh, when I'm looking at when I'm looking here, I can see the type of post. Actually, I have a text post. I'm not expecting it to do anything. And then I can see the engagements. With my stuff, it tends to come through search. So the long tail is really important. And this is the live one at the moment. So you're watching live. It's reached 26 people, had 2 engagements, 1 reaction or comment. That would be Gary Gary's on YouTube. Okay, so I don't know who it is on Facebook. And what else do we have here? Okay. I'm going to move on because it is 22 and we've got 15 minutes, I guess. Okay. Twitter analytics. And if I go to analytics.twitter.com, there's a few areas that I'm going to be looking at. And if you were part of the last series, which was social media for government, ministers of parliament, senators, local councils and councillors, lots of similar information here for universities. There's maybe a few differences with Twitter. One of them for universities is that this is a distribution channel so that you can send links out to drive people back to your hub. So if you think of content spokes, a hub like a website, and then distribution spokes, this is a distribution spoke for universities. But let's have a look at some of the information in the analytics area. It's not quite as sophisticated as Facebook. Twitter bought a data company called, I never remember, Blue Dolphin, Blue something. And I haven't seen much of it being integrated, but let's have a look. So I've got 56,000 followers. And in the last month, I've reached 82,000. And again, I'm using my accounts because even though I keep mine fairly small because I want a really directed channel, I don't have permission to show you university accounts, which is fair enough. So we've got here tweets, which is your assets again, your social media asset, like a post. Impressions, 82,000 people saw 146 posts, I guess, across them. 3,500 people visited my profile, and then 243 mentions, people talking back at me. And I've lost 84 followers, which is a few of those would be spam accounts. The rest just got fed up with me. Fair enough. And we can see Glenn Greenwald was this month's 10 days so far. This month's main perpetrator of me getting seen. So that's under home. When I go to tweets, this is where we can export the data. We can export it by day, and we can choose 28 days or we can choose specific months. Can you still see okay? Yes, you can. Actually, I'll just take that one off. So I'll make this larger. Your tweets, so you'll see how many impressions you've had during the day, or per day, during 28-day period. An MAU, monthly active user, is actually 28 days. It gets a bit confusing with 31 days. There you go. Again, I want to identify what got tweeted and fell flat and which ones got the most engagement. What caused these viral spikes? So if I go to my top tweets, and I can see that I had 12,000 impressions of my top tweet. And then I've got tweets and replies. And then if I promoted is the same as sponsored or boosted. So if you're boosting posts on Twitter, you can go in there to find out more. Again, it's a little awkward with the difference between impressions and reach. So in this case, I would say I would stick with impressions being that a user may see it more than once. So friend number 1 shares it, they see it, and then friend number 3 shares it and they see it, and then friend number 2 in the middle did, and then it says your friends A, B and C shared this, and it's more likely to get into your feed. And you may see it multiple times depending on the distance in time between the shares and the comments and the engagements. What did I want to show you in here? I have a problem at the moment because Twitter's hiding a lot of things, but if I go into, I think it's conversion tracking. I wanted to show this to you because it's similar to the pixel retargeting on Facebook. Now, we haven't covered pixel remarketing, pixel retargeting for universities and colleges in the lecture series yet. And one of the reasons for that is it's changing and dramatically. So although you've added the Facebook pixel to your website and the LinkedIn pixel and the Twitter pixel and the whatever else pixel that you've needed to add to your website so you can track people and then retarget content back to them on those platforms, Apple's blocking such a lot of it with iOS 14. They've already removed it from Safari. Firefox has already removed pixel remarketing from Firefox. Google has promised reluctantly to remove the remarketing pixel from websites. And if you're not 100% sure what remarketing is, it's when you say, I want to track people that visited a landing page about introducing the university to students from India. And then there is a call to action on the page which says, click here to sign up to get a welcome pack for the university or an introduction pack or why you should join. And what you may do is you may want to track people who came to the landing page, which is an acquisition page for students, potential students from India. And then you want to also track, then you do an if this then that. If they came to the page and they clicked on the sign up for the email, but they did not get to the thank you page, I want to remarket to them a quick call to action on the platform they came in from or wherever they can be reached. Actually, you can specify. On Google's, YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Twitter or somewhere else, hey, click here to sign up for the information pack in, whatever language it is that they were looking at initially. And that's because the pixel's tracking them through the website. So that's what pixel remarketing is. And I will go through it again in a lot more in depth for Facebook ads. In fact, let's do Facebook ads next Thursday. Shall we do that one next Thursday? Not just Facebook ads, but LinkedIn ads and Twitter ads and all the rest of it, because I need to go through all this stuff. And this is the problem, is like pulling string, is that I pull one piece and go, I haven't covered that. What a shame. We'll do that next week. So coming back to here, website, basically pixel remarketing is website conversion tracking. They got to page A and page B, but they didn't finish signing up or doing the survey or getting the email newsletter or whatever it is. So you need to create a website tag. LinkedIn and Twitter calls them tags. Facebook calls them pixels. And then you need to install that website on your tag on your website. The new pixels are going to be app-based on your website. So I don't know what CMS, content management system, you're using. If it's, WordPress, it's a plugin. If it's Joomla, it's an extension or an add-on. Whatever the CMS is. There will be something called Pixel plugin or a website tag plugin. You add a piece of code, copy and paste the code. You don't have to be a coder. And it will start to track people, and then you can create these audiences that say the people that came to the Urdu page, send them the Urdu ad. The people that came to the Bahasa page, send them the Bahasa page ad. all that kind of tricky kind of conversion tracking. Is it tricky? Yeah, I think so. Particularly with the privacy around behavior and conversion tracking now. I think it's going to be more tricky. Let's have a look and see how LinkedIn does it, because there's some really cool stuff on LinkedIn with pixel tracking. Do we have time? I wanted to finish up so we could take questions. Start throwing your questions up if you've got any, and I'll keep jabbering on. And if you don't have any questions, then we'll belly up almost to the hour. Right. I added the LinkedIn pixel to my website. And if you're ever nosy, go to a website, any website. Doesn't have to be your own. I'm just on mine so that you can see clearly. I hope you can see clearly. I think it's going to be a bit small. Yeah, it is. Darn it. All right, but there is a extension here which you can't see, but it's a little blue thingy. It's called the Facebook Pixel Helper. It gives the pixel ID, and I can, because it's my own pixel, I get more information, which you may not get. But if you're looking at somebody else's page, if you're looking at your own website, you will get this. And I can add these little pixel helpers to my website, and it just tells me the pixel's firing, the website tag is firing. So I've added a few. I don't do anything with them for my website. I'm just nosy. But that's why I like analytics, is because I like to be nosy. So let's have a bit of a nose. I probably can go up there. So in Campaign Manager, I'm pretending I'm going to be running an ad. I've added the LinkedIn website tag, and I go to website demographics, which is this menu here. You just click on that one. Yep. And then I come down here and I say I want to see what job function is visiting that page or that website. So as a university, if you've got alumni, you'd be able to check and see primarily what sort of job function your alumni have. And this will not come as a shock to you, but almost 30% of the people that visit my website are in marketing. And then another 20% are in media and communications. Who's not well represented? Quality assurance and legal. The only people that are legal coming through are the ones who want to sue me, so I'm happy for them to stay away. And where's my media lot? Oh, that is media. So I get a lot of press people coming through. And education should be increasing. In fact, I think once the numbers are run again, we'll see that higher ed is coming through a lot more. I'll show you how I know in a moment. So what LinkedIn is doing is it's saying, everybody who came to your website, we mapped the people that came to your website. Doesn't matter how they got there. They could have come there from Google search or from a YouTube video that I put up or from something else. We were able to pick up on who they are, and there's a bunch of data sets. It's not that they have to be logged into LinkedIn. There's other ways that they can be tracked. And we're relaying to you what kind of job functions they had. Now, I can also go here and see what companies have been to my website. There's a few universities that come through as having looked at my website recently. In fact, since the 10th of February to the 11th of March. Oh yeah, I'll show you companies. It doesn't matter. So this is my company, the Community Crew. It's one of them. I've got two. Yes, two. And then there's Sam. Hi, Sam, who's come in. And then we've got Western Sydney University. And then we've got a bunch of New York City Police Department. That's interesting. and Shell, ExxonMobil, University of Adelaide Faculty of Sciences, hello, and Public Interest Journalism Initiative. Not a lot of data, they're not coming through en masse. If there is a lot of people, then I tend to see higher numbers, but I only need 1 or 2 people to come in to look to see if they see anything that's useful and then track where they came in from. Company industry, a lot of people in e-learning, a lot of people in higher ed. That's why I said those numbers are going up. And I can change the dates and times. Can you see what pixel tracking does for you? So for me, around analytics, measurements, and insights, I don't just want to know, we've got 40,000 followers online and we increased that by 2% last month, and this was the most popular article they looked at. I also want to know what industries they came from, what companies were viewing them, what cities, how old they are, all kind of things. County. Ooh, okay. I think they're only doing American counties and British. Okay, so I thought it might have like the Blue Mountains. It doesn't. It's like big cities like London, and then the rest of it is Los Angeles County. I don't know, is there anything else here that catches your interest that you'd like to see? Pop it up in the comments area. I can compare to other audiences, and I think that's about all that I want to cover at the moment. There was something on Twitter I wanted to show you. Oh yeah, I know. 4 minutes left. It's important to remember that when you come into Twitter, you're seeing what's trending at the moment in your network. So this is kind of randomized, not randomized. It looks randomized, but it's not last in, best dressed. You'd have to go into your lists and then change your list from the top tweets to the last by date. Otherwise, this is algorithmically generated as well. And so we need to make sure that the content that we're creating is going through to these kind of the right people at the right time on the right channel. Just stick with that and you'll know what I'm talking about. So if I take a tweet that I've done, I don't know, I think there's one here. I don't want to go into some of those really big ones because some of the comments in them were a bit interesting. If I go into this one here, you can get to the analytics from below the tweet. And some of you have been using that instead of analytics.twitter.com. And then I can see that this tweet was seen 318 times, that there were 8 engagements. And then I go in here and 3 people liked it, 3 people clicked on the link, and 2 people clicked on the profile. So impressions versus engagement, always critical. I don't know. Are there more things? I wanted to go through Google Analytics. I am rusty and I apologize. Normally I can fit in another 3 to 5 minutes on Google Analytics, particularly on conversions, as being a key part of our social media strategy, the analytics component. But we didn't get to that one today. The other one that is always highlighted for me, particularly with edu-marketing and higher ed marketing and all that kind of thing, is the difference between marketing and sales. That idea that you're going to post up a beautiful shot, a beauty location shot to remind people how beautiful the university is to walk through and what it's like in winter and what it's like in summer and things like that. That's pure marketing. That's just building up the beauty brand of the university branding, which is quite different than the salesy call to action. You know, we ran a campaign and we had 500 more people download the booklet or whatever it is that you're doing, whatever your call to action benchmark is. So split up your university branding versus your call to action promotions. They need to be separated. And I know I did cover that in the last lecture, which is part of this lecture series on universities and content calendars and how to develop those different types of content, but it is key. One piece of news, which I'll cover in Monday's news in a lot more depth, but Facebook is really pushing at the moment asking questions. They're actually, before you post, they kind of block the post from going straight up and they say, if you change your post to a question, we will show it to more people. They couldn't put it more clearly that your post needs to be engaging. So if you're writing stuff like, the Vice Chancellor today announced that blah, 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 and it's all third person stuff, if you shift that to a question, the Vice Chancellor today announced XYZ, what does this mean for you? What will the impact be for you? What do you think of this? If you frame it that way, the semantic engine will read the text and then deliver it into more news feeds. And this is where your analytics are going to come into play, because what you might want to do is try some A/B testing where you post up one post to one audience using Creative Studio, split your audiences, send it out as a statement, do another one, send it out as a question, and just see the play on that. How much are the algorithms paying attention to anything that is a question or what appears to be a question? Like previously they do this with recommendations. If you ask for a recommendation and you've seen recommendation posts, then that gets shown in more news feeds. So now they're shifting that knowledge into questions as well. So I think that's important. Anyway, rabbited on enough. Monday, 10:45 a.m. is social media news for about an hour. I'm going to go through all the news from the different platforms and social media tools and different things. Thursdays at 1 p.m. are the social media lecture series, and this lecture series is on social media for universities, colleges and higher ed, and we're doing next Thursday is on Facebook ads. Not all of Facebook ads, we only have an hour, but we'll get to some really key critical points on ads. On the first Monday of each month, I'm running a private lecture series. If you would like to be involved in that, the one on starting April is on audits. And I actually printed up a timetable, which I've lost now. I'm such an idiot. I'm not normally this scatterbrained, but I've had a few lectures this morning and it's been a little all over the place. Let me bring this one up for you. Okay. Nope, that doesn't work either. Okay. I know the audits are in April, and then we've got content diaries. And what we do is on the first Monday in the after, I think it's lunchtime-ish, we run a 1 p.m. I do a lecture on social media audits. It's a private one. It's not being streamed. Then you have homework for 2 weeks. And then on the third Monday is an exercise, tutorial, work groups. We all come together. We analyse our homework. We do peer-to-peer support of each other. You ask me questions. I ask you questions. We figure out the answers somehow. And it makes it much more practical and tactical than these live streams, which are pretty well broadcasty with a few questions occasionally. Mostly people saying, thank you. You're very welcome. You are very welcome. All right, guys, it's gone 2:00. I'm going to have to love you and leave you. I'll see you next Thursday for Facebook ads for universities and colleges. And if you have any questions beforehand, send them through and I will address them or make sure I cover that section in the lecture. There's lots to cover in 1 hour. Can't cover everything. There you go. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.